It's Tuesday, September 3. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is reporting a smooth start to the 2019-2020 academic year. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Education Ministry, Dr. Grace McLean, provided an update during a live broadcast with OPM Connect Education Matters on Monday.
We are pleased to welcome close to 500,000 students who would have been on 2 months of holiday back to schools.
Parents are happy.
I'm sure the parents are happy. The team at the ministry has worked exceptionally hard to address the critical matters so as to ensure that we can be off to a smooth start. And indication so far is that we have been off to quite a smooth start.
Dr. McLean said that the ministry will continue to monitor schools across the island this week, as many students are returning on a phased basis with different grades on different days. She said there were some issues during the opening of schools on Monday, and those were addressed.
We are aware of some issues in Clarendon and St. Catherine where we understand that there were industrial action by one major taxi association, and so some parents experienced some difficulty in actually getting the children to school. We, however, as some principals have indicated, they would have exercised some kind of concerns as it relates to the students, not concerned, some kind of leniency as to the students coming to school on time and would ensure that they are not penalized. We continue the process during the course of this week. Many of our schools have started a phased approach to the full opening, and so the true test of the system is not going to be until next week.
The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information has invested millions to ensure that the new academic year was off to a smooth start. National Works Agency, NWA, will be tweaking some of the changes made to reduce congestion levels at major corridors in the corporate area. The changes were implemented Monday in anticipation for the start of the new school year. Among the changes that were announced were the permanent closure of Chesterfield Drive, the signalization of several intersections, and the restrictions of movement along certain corridors. Manager of Communication and Customer Service at the NWA, Stephen Shaw, said that the overall plan for the movement of traffic around the capital city worked, but there was a need to tweak the arrangements. Anti-corruption campaigners are calling on legislators to immediately undertake a full review of the Integrity Commission Act following Monday's revelation that chairman of the anti-corruption watchdog, retired Court of Appeal Judge Justice Carl Harrison, has resigned. Justice Harrison said his reasons for resigning were confidential and personal. The development comes after news surfaced last week that Acting Director of Corruption Prosecutions at the Commission, Dirk Harrison, had indicated in an August 4 letter to Governor General Sir Patrick Allen that he would be proceeding on retirement on September 1. The chairman and former director are not related. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, will send a 100-member team of presiding officers and polling clerks to conduct Saturday's People's National Party presidential polls at the national arena. The EOJ, the country's electoral directorate, will conduct the polls in keeping with the strict operations of the body during general elections. Its director, Glasspool Brown, says national election protocols will be operational on the day. According to him, 17 polling stations will be set up inside the arena. The National Council for Senior Citizens, NCSC, will be marking Senior Citizens Week with a series of activities during the month of September into early October. NCSC Executive Director Cassandra Morrison says the observance under the theme Older Persons, Partners in Social, Cultural and Economic Development will recognize the immense contribution that seniors are making to the Jamaican economy. The Ministry of Health and Wellness-sponsored Caribbean Wellness Day Forum is scheduled for September 10. Senior Citizens Week will be officially launched on September 20 at the Spanish Court Hotel in New Kingston. The Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, has officially launched Miss Lou 100, commemorating the centenary of the mother of Jamaican culture, the Honorable Louise Bennett Coverley. Miss Lou 100 is being celebrated over the course of 100 days, starting from September 1, 2019. These celebrations will include the official renaming of Gordontown Square to Miss Lou Square by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Sunday. Speaking at a service of honor and praise at Coke Memorial Methodist Church in downtown Kingston on Sunday, Minister Grange praised Miss Lou. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he has been in contact with his Bahamian counterpart, Dr. Hubert Minnis, and has assured him of Jamaica's support. He also pledged Jamaica's support for the recovery. The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency has sent a team to the Bahamas to coordinate with the regional response mechanism. The US dollar on Monday, September 2, ended trading at Jamaican $137.72, up by 2 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. Meanwhile, the Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $103.82, up from $103.09, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $167.55, up from $167.41. In regional news, 5 people have been confirmed dead and others are reported missing as Hurricane Dorian continues to pound the archipelago of Bahamas.
A Category 5 Hurricane Dorian made landfall on Elbow Key in the Abaco Islands with 185-mile-per-hour winds on Sunday. It slowed to a crawl, causing catastrophic impacts. Dorian flooded out homes and other buildings and entire communities, flipped cars, ripped roofs and homes apart, downed utility poles and trees, and left several residents who refused to comply with the advice to evacuate, pleading for help. An 8-year-old boy was the first death reported. Hachino McIntosh drowned after his family attempted to relocate during the hurricane. The boy's grandmother, Ingrid McIntosh, spoke to Eyewitness News about the tragedy.
All I could say is that my granddaughter called my daughter from Abaco and said, my daughter say her son, my grandson dead. That's it. It ain't nothing more I can say because I don't know what really happened.
Did they say how he died?
I think they say he drowned. My grandson dead. I just seen my grandson about 2 days ago. My grandson just tell me he love me. He was going back to Abaco. He turned around and he said, Grammy, I love you. You know what I tell my grandson? I say, it feels so good because I haven't heard that in a long time from no one. And I just...
Prime Minister Hubert Minnis also updated the nation on Monday evening at a press conference.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force has confirmed that there are 5 deaths in Abaco. Teams will go to Abaco as soon as possible for full and proper assessment and identification. The initial reports from Abaco is that the devastation is unprecedented and extensive. They are deeply worrying. The images and videos we are seeing are heartbreaking. Many homes, businesses, and other buildings have been completely or partially destroyed. There is an extraordinary amount of flooding and damage to infrastructure. I wish to report that the United States Guard is already on the ground in Abaco and has rescued a number of injured individuals. Critically injured individuals are being taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital here on New Providence. Through various channels, we are continuing to monitor events in Abaco and Grand Bahama, as well as Bimini and the Berry Islands, which are continuing to receive tropical storm winds.
Speaking at a press conference on Sunday evening, Prime Minister Hubert Minnis called the hurricane an historic tragedy. He also said his administration would quickly introduce legislation for mandatory evacuation. Ahead of Hurricane Dorian's onslaught on Bahamas, some residents refused evacuation orders, choosing to remain in their homes.
Today, we do not have legislation in place for mandatory evacuation. But as I speak, I can assure all Bahamians that upon our return to Parliament, we will introduce legislation for mandatory evacuation. And I would hope that the opposition would concur and support us in this legislation. This is not the time for politics. This is not the time for red or yellow. We must wrap ourselves in one flag, not red flag, not yellow flag, but the Bahamian flags. And if I know my Attorney General, he's sitting down at this present time drafting the legislation so the legislation can be brought in. But the Bahamian people now see the necessity. Also those who were objecting, they now see the necessity of bringing forth this legislation. And I'm certain that we will have very minimal objection. There are many legislations we are drafting, bring forth. We never anticipate a hurricane of 180 going up to 200. That places legislations in priority. You gave us 5 years. We would utilize that 5 years to bring forth the legislations that we promised. You did not promise us 1 month.
Meantime, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency office in Bahamas, CDEMA, says it will be deploying assessment teams. Addressing a press conference on Monday, Executive Director Ronald Jackson said it will be several days before an all-clear is given so that the teams can go in.
Or information from the local Met office was that they were expecting an all-clear to be given Tuesday afternoon. With the change in forward speed, this is now looking to be optimistic at best. But pessimistically, we are thinking that this is likely to be Wednesday before the all-clear is given. The implications of that is it will delay any ability to get into these two islands and to collect specific information on the level of impact. We know that on Abaco, there are particular enclaves of Haitian migrants that are located on the island. And so we're looking at the needs of those individuals and working with authorities to better understand who are the persons that make up this particular population. When I say who, I mean how many of them are children, how many are adults, how many are elderly, etc. What we do know that of the population, the 76,000 that we mentioned, I think, is it 15% are children? 22% are children, sorry, 22%. 70% is classified as between the ages of 15 to 64, and the remaining percentages are persons over the age of 64.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the embattled president of the Public Service Association, Watson Duke, has called it quits. Duke was recently charged for sedition for statements he made last November.
I have done all that I can at this point, and I cannot do any more. I've trained my team, I've trained my successor, I've tried to solve negotiations. But from the 1st of December, I will become a full-time, fully dedicated representative of the Tobago House of Assembly in the capacity as minority leader.
In sports, India bowled West Indies out for 210 in Kingston, Jamaica on Monday to win the second test by 257 runs and complete a sweep of the two-match series. Following the match, West Indies captain Jason Holder said the batsmen needed to take responsibility for the loss.
You know, we didn't play a complete cricket game in any of the two test matches. Still a lot of problems with the batting. You know, we just need to be able to, put some scores on the board and fight out some tough periods. I think it's an individual thing, and we just need to pay special attention on this off period. I don't think we play another test match until mid next year, so it's quite a bit of time now off. It's just a matter for the guys, to take ownership of their own professional games and, look to do some work.
In football, Red Stripe Premier League team Mount Pleasant have reportedly terminated the contract of head coach Donovan Dukey with immediate effect. Dukey, who officially joined the team ahead of last season's debut campaign in the top flight, led them to the semi-finals in the last campaign. They, however, suffered a 2-1 loss at home to Harborview in their opening game of the season on Monday. The 43-year-old was reportedly informed of the decision by club owner Peter Gold. Team manager David Galloway confirmed the development. When contacted, Dukey also declined to comment on the reports. In the weather report, at 4 a.m., the eye of Hurricane Dorian was located near latitude 26.9 degrees north, longitude 78.4 degrees west. Dorian is stationary just north of Grand Bahama Island. On this track, the core of extremely dangerous Hurricane Dorian will continue to pound Grand Bahama Island today. The hurricane will then move dangerously close to the Florida east coast later today through to Wednesday evening, very near Georgia and South Carolina coasts Wednesday night and Thursday, and near or over the North Carolina coast near Thursday. Maximum sustained winds are near 195 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Dorian is a Category 3 hurricane and is expected to remain a powerful hurricane during the next couple of days. And that's the news on PBCJ. Do remember, we are the People's Station.